Oh. No, you didn't. Nom nom. Nom nom nom. Right, I think that's going. Hello. Did you like the new animation? Right, it's still displaying on mine. That's brilliant. Courtesy of James, that. But yeah, we are starting now, and we're gonna go through the chat, of course, as well. In just a moment. Hello to everyone. At least I pre-warned you with a little bit of a introduction. We did start a bit early so I could play that little jingle thing. Well, say little jingle. It's not even any noise. But yeah, thought I'd get some of you involved. So I can see there's loads of you already in here. We've already got 12 people in here, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, don't worry, they're custom then. Don't worry, they're custom. Bring us the snow. I'll try my best, James. And thank you for making that as well. Hello to you, Roberto. Yeah, I've just noticed that when I was reading through. My first time actually joining your live stream. Yeah, it's great to see everyone on here. We've got Earthheart, I should say. Barb Mac as well. It's nice to see you've got your members things as well. That's quite cool. Yeah. And we've also got Rachel, who's sneaked through. If you could leave us a like on the stream as well before we begin, I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, I was eating something before I began, that's why I started a little bit late, but we're on now. Anyway, we're here to talk about weather, not about issues. Anyway, right, let's get on with things. So I want to get the chat up so I can actually read it as I'm going through. But yeah, hello to everyone, and if I did miss you, yo. Right. Heard about cooler temperatures this weekend up north. Yeah, there could even be some wintry showers. James, you'll know about that, right? Yeah, right. Anyway, we'll present things. So we'll go through the first couple of days with the UKV. It goes up to 57 hours. So we'll have a look at the weekend just for you, Roberto. So it's pretty mainly dry for many regions. And it has been, besides the far southeast today and the far northwest of Scotland, which has seen a couple of patchy showers. Now, there's a weather front beginning to move southwards, but it's going to weaken through the early hours of Saturday, affecting Scotland, southern Scotland, but not too much. A couple of showers in from the northeast with that slightly fresher air mass from the north and the northeast into Scotland. The rest of the UK, though, is beginning to cool down. Not pretty dry, though, I would say. We are beginning to see a little bit of a cooler air mass to return in, as you can see here. -4, -5 line into the east and the south, and well, east and the northeast in particular, but that is pretty extreme. Well, I say pretty extreme, it's pretty cool for the time of year. You can see even a couple of wintry showers over the northern hills of northern Scotland, or central northern Scotland, I should say. A couple of showers on that northeastern coast as well, and into the southeast, but there's not too many of them, I must say. We can only go out to there, but you can see the weekend is, well, a bit cooler. In fact, quite cold further northwards, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. A couple of showers may be affecting the far southeast, but again, it's a pretty dry picture. If we have a look at the max temps, so today it's reached 23, 24, or even 25 degrees in the south. Cooler as you head north, even Scotland into single digits. As we move into Saturday afternoon, reaching 20 and 21 degrees in the south, but cooler again as you head further north, especially in Scotland. 5 or 6 degree highs. Could even be a frost. Couldn't even rule out a frost into the early hours of Sunday, as that colder air does dig in. By midday, by 3 p.m, I should say, on Sunday, temperatures are definitely dipping. 11, 10, 11, 12 degrees central England, and further southward, 16 and 17 degrees. Again, Scotland, 5 or 6, that's pretty chilly for the time of year. And then the final one we can look at 3 p.m. on Monday. Again, bit below average, maybe slightly around average, 17 degrees maybe on that far south coast, but generally 13 and 14 degrees temperatures are roaming around there. So that's that one. Let's have a look, everyone in here. Nights might be chilly, they could be. Hope it's yellow snow. Yeah, but evening to you as well, Les. I don't know if I shouted you out before, but evening to you. I've just seen you on the chat. Oh, I had a bit of an issue starting. It wouldn't let me start. So that's why it's a bit late. Now, we're going to be hopping around different models today. So I'll have a look at the CFS longer range look ahead model. Now, some people have been having a go at me for that, and to that I say, I don't really care. I'm always going to show them. So, sod you, I guess. Anyway, the CFS May 2025. If you don't like it, don't watch. Anyway, enough of the negativity. For the CFS 500 millibar heights, so high pressure to our north and east towards Scandinavia. That looks quite a nice and warm May. Winds in from the east or southeast. Maybe slightly more unsettled into the south. That could actually be quite thundery. But I'd say an outlook there. It's pretty warm, pretty dry, but maybe a little bit thundery in the south. For June, looks quite nice. High pressures towards Scandinavia. Winds are in from the east. So it's going to be warm. Nothing extraordinarily warm, but pretty warm, you'd say. And July, high pressures over and just to the south. That could actually be quite a warm one as well. Looks like quite a good summer here. August is low pressures just to the north of Scotland. That's going to be bringing wet weather into Scotland. High pressures just in the Atlantic, winds are in from the northwest. It's slightly cooler, more changeable, especially further north. So it's further south, probably all right. With that one, high pressure in September. We're going to just go through all of them. Into September, high pressures ridging in the Atlantic, winds are in from a cooler northerly. Quite a cool and wet September there. October, high pressures blocking to our north, a lot of mid-latitude blocking towards Greenland and Iceland and Scandinavia. Winds are in from the east again. October easterlies might not be that bad. November, that looks pretty chilly. It has been showing that on recent updates. High pressures proper blocking to our north, low pressures to our east. Winds are in from a cold northerly, or chilly northerly, I guess. Depends on the exact air mass. Into December though, that looks like a pretty cold and wintry December if that came off. High pressures blocking to our north and east over the northern hemisphere. And winds are in from the north or northeast. And January, that looks like a beastly easterly, actually, but I'm not going to say any more about that because it is like 25,000 months away. Anyway, let's move on then, and we'll move on to the main model runs. Hello to Andrew, my top mod in the chat. Hope that you're doing a good job. Nice guy, so whatever go at you, you seem nice guy. Probably cool and showery basically in August. Hello to you, Sue. Nice to see you in the chat. There we go. Snowy weather, maybe in winter law. Yeah. Anyway, what am I doing? Let's get on with the chart data then. So we've got the GFS. Oh, he's losing his mind. High pressure is centred just to our west. Look, winds are in from a cooler northerly. We're going to shift those 10 degrees from those ridiculous temperatures away to our south and east. We actually bring the -5 line to Scotland. Maybe a couple of wintry flurries again in the north and the east, but for most of it, it's just going to feel a little bit chillier. Into the early part of next week, high pressure just kind of topples and sits over the top of the country. Again, air masses are around to slightly maybe below average further south, but actually milder further northwards. but we are pretty settled. Winds with the GFS 12Z are in from a very brisk easterly direction, which may keep temperatures down in the south and the east in particular, but it's around average to slightly below. It's nothing really too spectacular. Into next weekend, high pressures to our south and west. Winds are in from the northwest, so it's still pretty dry. Into the longer term, into Sunday, high pressure proper establishes itself over the top of the country. It looks like a very bland spell of weather, if I was to say that. But winds are in from the east or northeast, so it actually could be quite chilly, particularly further northwards. But actually, there is some high pressure just to our east, so it might not be too bad. Temperature deviation is around average, really. Nothing really much to say about that. It just looks kind of around average, really. Slightly below at the end with high pressure between Iceland and Scandinavia. What just happened? high pressure between Iceland and Scandinavia. Winds are in from the east. So, pretty mixed. Pretty mixed. Pretty dry. Very, very, very dry run. Probably quite mild as well. With the GEM then, next, the Canadian model, high pressure again, sat just to our south and west. And it's pretty settled. We'll be cooling down again over the weekend. Temperature's probably 9 to 12 degrees, as I said before. But into the earlier part of next week, high pressure just sits over the top of the country, keeping us mostly dry and settled as well. Nothing much to report, really. High pressure in the longer term is out to our west. Winds are in from a northwesterly direction, but nothing particularly cool. So if you want to get your garden going, if you want to plant your seeds or whatever, get them out now. Is what I'd recommend. Although they might need some water, and that might be a bit of a trouble. So there you go. You take what you want and leave what you want as well, don't you? But high pressure just kind of settled over the top of the country for most of the run as well, keeping it quite dry. And again, quite settled, really. With the icon then, I'm going to say this is going to show a very similar theme. High pressure's out to our west. But with this one, does build further northwards, actually, or tries to build towards Scandinavia. Winds are in from the east or northeast. And this is allowing slightly cooler air and fresher air into the south and the east again. So maybe slightly cooler in the south and the east, but for most places it's around average. Average temperatures for the middle of May, around 17 degrees or something like that, I'd say. Maybe 18 slightly higher. Maybe even further northwards might see a couple of higher temperatures in this sort of pattern. So that's that one. The AI model, the ECM AI model, by comparison, then I haven't shown this in a while, again has that high pressure building to our north and east. Winds are in from the east into the south, but it is actually quite warm with this. It does look quite warm. Easterly winds in May are usually quite warm. This proper establishes high pressure towards Scandinavia. A bit of a different idea. Winds are in from a proper easterly. It looks quite nice, actually. It looks very pleasant. Looks very dry. Looks very anticyclonic, so no low pressure systems bumping into that. That'd take a lot to move. 1,035 millibar area of low pressure towards Greenland. Looks quite bland, though. Winds are in from the east and northeast, but if you do like your warm weather, and I've been enjoying it, 22 degrees is a sweet spot. That's what I'm saying. What's your sweet spot for temperature and sunshine? Let me know in the chat, I guess, and I'll be going through it in a minute anyway. But I just want to go through this. But yeah, winds again from the east northeast. It's pretty warm, to be honest. It's very, very, very settled, quite warm. See a cold plunge going into this, going into like Italy, for example. At the end of this run, or to the mid part of this run, I should say. But cold plunge. We're on the mild side. You can just see that. I say a cold plunge. It's it's below average. Way below average for Italy for this time of year. But there you go. It just shows. Yeah, I'm back from the food festival in Porthleven. Hello to you, Adam. How are you doing? I'm just going through the chat now. Great Drought 2025. Not gonna lie, I've said this about 20 different times on different channels. May is not looking that well. Depends on what you think, though, doesn't it? But it looks pretty anticyclonic. It looks pretty dry, I must say. Really concerned it might continue into summer. We'll have to see. Apparently, it might be on the driest spring on record. 6 from thunderstorms every now and again. Reported thunderstorms in June, pal. I think it will actually be thunderstorms in June. Justin, that might interest you. I'm not sure. I'm entertaining. I mean, thank you. I guess I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm that thingy, but Let's keep going. Right, I'm going to show you the longer range one, which people, again, having a go at me. Well, you shouldn't be showing that. Experimental. It's a bit of fun, alright. Keep your hair on. Keep your hair on. I'm only joking. Only joking. Don't take anything I say too seriously. Apart from when it's about weather. That bit is correct. Anyway, so the CFS then. Let's show this to the longer range. See what it's showing, because, you know. And then we'll show the ECM at the end, and we'll go through the chat and stuff, and I'll go through my thoughts again for May. If you didn't hear them in yesterday's video, which did quite well. So thank you all for that. Anyway, let's get going then. Right, sort this out. Come on, screen. Get working. Thank you. Well, it looks pretty settled, I must say. High pressure again to our west. Winds are in from the northwest. Pretty settled. Maybe slightly cooler into the second week of May. Actually brings down a cold northerly, but I doubt that's going to happen. CFS. That'll bring wintry showers into the north, but I doubt that would happen, to be honest. Proper high pressure towards Greenland. Winds in from the north and northeast. That'd be a pretty chilly start to chilly middle half to May. Into the long term though, into that third final week of May, it does turn a little bit more unsettled, like I mentioned in my video. Could my prediction be correct now? No, I think it might be. It does look quite warm again though. Warm southerlies, almost 10 degrees firm into the south again. Probably lifting the temperatures into the 20s, low 20s again. Not something you didn't enjoy that. Some of you loved it though, so you know. Into the final days of May, though, winds are up from a southerly direction, southerly southeasterly. It looks pretty nice, to be honest. If you like warm weather, look how close these 10 degrees firm is to the south, but many times. Heading into June, then, high pressure established to our northwest brings in a cooler northerly. The 0 degrees firm into Scotland. That's pretty chilly for the time of year. Wow. That is a pretty chilly start to June. Getting the 0 degree line in almost as far south as central England. That could get the temperatures into the low teens. That'd be pretty disappointing, I must say, to start June. We're expecting 40 degrees normally. But again, with this, again, it's experimental. Don't take it too literally. It's just a bit of fun. High pressure, though, remains to our west and southwest. Winds are in from the north. It looks pretty bad. However, though, the high pressure does, again, begin to eventually flatten in the Atlantic. Winds are in from a pretty nice southerly, or well, southwesterly wind. 10 degrees firm moving into the country there on the 18th. Winds then turn into the east as we build heights towards Scandinavia, and that's going to be dragging in some pretty warm air. There you go. Here's where summer starts. Bloody hell, that's pretty warm, isn't it? Winds in from the east. High pressure towards Scandinavia. Wow, that is a pretty mild or hot spell. Setting up there into the third week of June. Look at that. Winds in from the east. That is pretty warm, I must say. 10 degrees firm covering the country. That'd definitely get temperatures widely into the 30s. 15 degrees firm is just into France there, but we're just on the outskirts of that. But you never know, probably bring that in. But about a week's time, a week of 10 degrees firm weather will definitely get the temperatures into hovering around the mid-30s there. Could talk quite nice spell there if you like that weather. But then high pressure then retreats back northwards again. Winds are in from a changeable northwesterly. But it does look a bit more unsettled with July. I must say, I've had a look at this run already. Low pressure then begins to move in from off the Atlantic. Could be quite thundery, actually, because it is quite warm, upper air temperatures. Does eventually barrage in, and we just go into a very unsettled and quite warm spell as well. So you're bringing up the 10 degrees firm into the country again on the 12th of July with some pretty harsh thunderstorms there developing. In fact, very harsh with those warm air masses circling around, warm air masses aloft. We do turn more changeable again by the 19th of July, turning into a northerly, but again, we're into a very unsettled pattern. Low pressure's rattling in from off the Atlantic. Look, it's just like a conveyor belt. We do eventually, by the 1st of August, bring up a proper southwesterly. Wow, that is pretty warm. On the 1st of August, pretty warm. Winds in from the southwest. Low pressures towards Greenland and Iceland on the 1st of August. Looks pretty nice. But again, we keep those southwesterlies going, so we just get resurgences of the 10 degrees firm flying northwards. Look at that. 15 degrees firm covering the south and the south. That would definitely get the temperatures into the 30, 35, 36 range maybe. That'd be pretty nice if you like that. I mean, for me, it's too hot, but each to their own, I guess. But it does, again, turn a little bit cooler into that final week of August. High pressure then retreats to our west before eventually we bring up a southerly or southeasterly again. Again, we've got to remember the time of year, the air masses won't be as warm. They will start to cool down as we head into the start of, well, autumn, I should say, not spring. We just had spring, and we're just in spring, actually. Winds are up from a southerly, though, on the 10th of September. This looks pretty warm again. It could be like a repeat of last year, where we get temperatures into the 30s again, pretty early on. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous on the 21st. The 15 degrees firm into the southeast, if that came off, but I'm not going any further than that. How does October look? Well, it looks pretty warm, actually, for an October, I must say. Wow. There you go. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? We have also had one of the warmest Aprils on record, the warmest first day of May. But taking everything very seriously. You should do. Severe weather alert. Hello to you. Sorry, I didn't see you in the chat. I was going through. I'll take anything serious. What do you think the stress will continue? Oh, yeah. Yeah, me too, but just nothing too extreme. I like thunderstorms as well. I like watching them, but that's from the comfort of my own home and in safety, but not in the open. 30 degrees is good for me, but anything above 35 is too much. That's fair. That's pretty fair. Severe, I'd say. Pretty fair. All in all. Yeah, I'm trying not to say cold because people get annoyed at me and they'll shout at me. But it is cool. It's not cold. It's just, you use it so much through the winter when I started that then summer comes around and spring and summer and then, it's chilly or cool. That's what I normally say, cool, but haven't been recently. Anyway, enough waffling. Right, let's get on with this and then we'll wrap things up. We're getting a bit of a shorter stream today, but of course, it's a little bit of a quiet spell. We'll have a look at the ensembles at the end. But thank you everyone for joining today. Make sure you do leave a like and join the Discord server. As I showed at the beginning, links are all down below to all the supports and all that stuff if you want to. Anyway, so the mean sea level pressure anomalies are showing high pressure just to our west. Winds are in from the east or northeast, so pretty average. Slightly below average in the southeast, south and east, but slightly above average in the north and the west under that high pressure. So, bit of a mixed bag, but again, it's pretty dry. From week 2, the 12th to the 19th of May, high pressures to our west. Winds are in from a gentle northwesterly direction. We've seen that before. Temperature anomalies are 1 to 3 degrees above average in that little blob of southwest there. So that's south coast, but much of the UK is just a little bit above average. And with the mean sea level pressure anomalies, again, winds are in from a northwesterly, so pretty mixed bag, but still pretty dry. 19th to the 26th of May, high pressures to our north and east, winds are in from the east or northeast with that one. And again, emphasised by the mean sea level pressure anomalies, high pressure still over the top of the country and just to our east, and that's winds in from the east, so pretty warm again. And if we go to the final week of May, high pressures towards Scandinavia, winds are in from the east again. There you go. Again, mean sea level pressure anomaly doesn't show that, but it does show a little bit of high pressure building towards Scandinavia. Winds are in from the east, so it's pretty warm again. There you go. I'm not going beyond that because, because it's unreliable. We'll go for the 850 HPA and precipitation ensembles for Inverness today. I don't normally show this location, but why not? Why not? Let's do that. There we go. And so we can see that we are going, well, this is for Inverness. So it's actually going quite cold. I can say that for Inverness, quite cold in the next couple of days onto about Sunday, before temperatures do rise pretty considerably. Couple of outlier coolish runs, but most of them are around just slightly above average, I must say. It looks quite warm, actually. The GFS ensemble was pretty warm, even further northwards, keeping that 5 degree ice firm around. What about further south in Barnsley then? You can see that we are looking, obviously a bit further southwards, so that cooler spell isn't as cool, but it is still a little bit cool. Temperatures around 10 to 12 degrees. But then we are returning to around to slightly above average in the longer term. So, pretty settled. You can see the precipitation. I mean, this is ridiculous. For Yorkshire, it has been one of the driest spells in over 90 years. We're really struggling for rain. We do need it in this region, but there you go. I know that some places further south have seen quite a bit over the last couple of days with the thunderstorms and the torrential downpours, so that's definitely helped, but for me, I'm not seeing any of that. But temperatures are looking around to slightly above average. Again, temperatures for this time of year, you can see, if we go to the 2 metre temperatures, are rising to around between 15 and 17 degrees. Further southwards, though, could be a little bit higher, so maybe 18, 19, or maybe even an isolated 20. in the south somewhere, such as London. Now, if we go to the UKV, we'll have a look at the other dates, see what they're showing for the max temps. So again, on Tuesday, look, you can see they're reaching 17 degrees, pretty widely. Oopsie daisies. Pretty widely, 16, 17 degrees, but nothing too exceptional. And then on Wednesday, the best of the weather's in Northern Ireland there, in the Republic of Ireland, reaching 18 or 19 degrees. But for much of England, it's around 14 to 15, so pretty average to slightly below, as you'd expect from what we've just seen. So there you go, that's everything I think that I wanted to show. Some models are going hotter, but some are colder. Yeah, it is a little bit of a mixed bag. I think we're keeping this pattern into the summer. I think it could be quite a bit of an interesting thing. Nice and pleasant in Barnsley. Yeah, it's going to be a great way to cool down. Bloody hell, it's been so warm yesterday. I didn't feel like it. I think it got to 27 yesterday. And I think the highest was 29 in London, which I did get a bit wrong. Not just for this hot spell, that low pressure, we're going to come after the high pressure. Just now, it just says high pressure. Yeah, I didn't really think that they were going to get unsettled because the models always try and the models always try and turn unsettled, don't they? But it never comes off. Especially since this year in general, the models have flirted with bringing in very unsettled spells. Last sort of unsettled spell I'd call is Easter. Last unsettled spell though was Easter, and it wasn't even that got like massively reduced in terms of intensity of rainfall and low pressure systems and stuff. Could we have a hot summer? Well, to be honest, Dav, I don't know if you've seen my summer forecast, but if you haven't, I'll give you a quick rundown of my thoughts. So I think that June is going to be quite hot and quite volatile or thundery. I think July will be around average to slightly above, and then I think August could be where we see a bit of an unsettled term. But we'll see what happens, of course. It's only a prediction. 25.4 was my max few days back, which is impressive for Northern Scotland in April. Yes, it certainly is, James. That's pretty exceptional. I'd say for Scotland anyway, especially in April. I mean, that's ridiculous. But yeah. Could we have a hot summer? There you go. I mean, I think it probably will be a hot summer. Quite a warm summer. I've put May at 1 to 1.5 degrees above average this year, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. July will be hit or miss, yeah. I'm not sure, Severe, actually. That's pretty good thoughts, though. I think that July is going to be a bit more of a mixed bag, but I think it'll still be quite warm. But there you go. But cooler further northwards. My max temp here was 28 to 29, yeah. Cheltenham, they say no more, Justin. I'm not surprised. It was a bit higher there. So class 30 degrees. Yeah, he did get pretty close, but I thought he did. But my mistake in the video, but I did make a little post about it. There were thunderstorms in my area last evening, a lot of flashes and lightning. Yeah, I did see them all on the radar. I was watching, seeing if I could see it. And I watched the Weather Fans live stream, and they were driving around. I forgot where it was. I watched it yesterday. Brains of a Goldfish. Now, I think it was like Sutton in Ashfield and stuff, and around Nottingham, if I remember correctly, and Birmingham. So there you go. But there was some round here. 24, Chris. That's not too bad. Hope we don't get 40 degrees. Yeah, me neither, Adam. It's too much. It is too much. Might as well live in like Benidorm or Spain or something for 40 degrees. But yeah, I literally do need. We do literally need rain though. But if we need some off the loan, some off Scotland, we'll have to come up to you, James, and get it sent down here from Kiel to Dam or whatever it's called. You can't sleep at nights when it's hot. Yeah, me neither. It's a bit bad, I must say. But anyway, enough rambling. But yeah, does look pretty warm. Pretty. You're going to see a little bit cooler spell over the weekend. Could actually be a bit of a shock to the system from the 25, 26 we've seen recently. But it is gradually coming down. So about 18 tomorrow, and then dropping to around 12, 13, 14 in some places. Particularly further northwards, be a bit cooler. But into the second week of May and beyond, it looks pretty high pressure dominated, pretty average, slightly above. Maybe actually the warmest of the temperatures further northwards for a change, with the more of an easterly influence into the south and east, which could bring a couple of showers. But again, a couple, emphasis on a couple. There's not going to be that many. It looks very, very, very dry. But possibly into that third week of May, like I said, there could be a change on the way. A change cometh for some of you that need it, and I need it sooner than you. Anyway, I'm joking. Thank you all for watching today's stream. Glad to see some new names in here and some old ones as well. And I'll see you all